a couple of things I wanted to point out is just how many times he builds an altar in this chapter.
It does. It's almost like he's performing priestly duty.
Oh no, we lost Wes. I guess we'll call back in. But yeah, exactly what Wes is talking about. This is why at the very beginning, I'm actually go back to that real quick. At the very beginning of the chapter, the promise in verse 2, where Yahweh says to Abram, "I will make your name great." It's not just to make him a well-renowned businessman. It wasn't to make him a celebrity. That was a term for authority. That's what that word name in Hebrew means. It's a term for authority. So how he's going to make Abram's name great is not because he wants Abram to have just a bunch of recognition. We got Wes back. Hey, welcome back, brother.
Sorry about that.
It's all right, man. So how the Father makes Abram's name great, which is a reference to his priestly authority, is that he's going to make him a blessing to other people. And that is the whole point of a righteous priest doing the ways of Yahweh and having authority over people to administer atonement to them and bless them in their life. That's kind of the idea. So even in this language, Wes, growing up in church, no one ever explained this to me. No one ever shared with me, hey, like he's not just trying to make Abram a celebrity or a great renowned businessman, right? He's not trying to make him like a Jeff Bezos or a Donald Trump or an Elon Musk, right? He's not trying to make him some celebrity icon of any kind. No, it's a priestly authority. That's what the word name is referring to. And he will be specifically, he can be a blessing to other people in that office because he's teaching and doing the ways of Yahweh. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah. And so it says that he was counted righteous, right? I'm reminded of Romans 4, where it's talking about how faith was credited to Abraham as righteousness. We have this idea introduced that because you believe, it's a righteous act, a righteous belief to believe in the God of creation, Most High.
Yeah, it is. And that's where, in addition to believing and going through that, we're getting this unique pattern in Genesis 12 of him like going on a journey and, moving different places. And it does mention there's Canaanites in the land. I think I think we don't jump into that till Genesis 20. He interacts with Abimelech and his general as well. But he's amongst enemies, or what are traditionally have been his enemies, right? People that are against Yahweh. They're worshiping Baals. They're worshiping other gods. And he's trying to remain righteous and be a blessing to people. So I think this is kind of fitting for us in our day, personally.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's getting interesting. So I got the summary here set up. Genesis 12, Abram realizes Yahweh is the almighty creator of heaven and earth and the one true God. This is actually something we get expounded to us in Jubilees, which is the parallel account to Genesis. And in Jubilees 12, it goes on to explain how, while still in Babylon, Abraham realizes idolatry is worthless and that there is one true God who creates all of heaven and earth. And he has his own conversion moment and asks God to reveal himself to him, and Yahweh does. And it's a beautiful thing.
And this is why I love the Apocalypse of Abraham. That book really elaborates on some of these events and gives you more details into the insight of Abraham and where he was coming from with his father, as well as Jubilees, right?
Right. Yeah, it's great. So then that's actually at 14 years old. Now, Genesis kind of picks up when he's around in his 70s. And this is the part that I think a lot of people don't realize, is that by the time Yahweh instructs Abraham to leave Haran and sojourn in Canaan, he had already left Chaldea. So this is why there's that general reference from Abraham from Yahweh to Abraham saying, I called you out of Ur of Chaldea. But he made a couple stops along the way. He actually spent quite a few years with his father and his whole family that had moved from Chaldea to Haran, which is in that, as far as I understand, it's like northern Israel, kind of like that, connected what modern day right now would be like North Israel connected to Babylon or connected to Iraq area. So then he moves from there down south goes down toward Bethel and the Well of Oath, and then towards the Negev, even further south. So we're following him on this journey as Father's taking him different places in his life. But by the time he gets into Canaan, there's famine in the land. So then he has to move all the way over to Egypt. So he's like, that's quite a journey.
It is. He was definitely a sojourner of the land, looking for a promised land to come.
Yes. Yeah. He knew every place he's moving inside that land wasn't going to be a permanent resident forever for him. And it was not going to be the actual fulfillment of what's being promised to him through these chapters that we're going to read. So keep that in mind as we go forward. We also see once he encounters Pharaoh, he's going to get, Pharaoh, the household of Pharaoh is struck with plague. because here's the thought. Wes, do you think that Abram was how do you feel about Abram's behavior with Pharaoh and portraying his wife as his sister, afraid they're going to kill him? And what do you think about that?
It's interesting you bring that up because I had a conversation with a non-believer recently who brought this exact moment and event up as to say that whereas they didn't understand what was going on apparently because they were trying to say that the God of the Bible condones incest, whereas that he was thinking that Abraham really married his sister. And so then when I tried to explain to him and show him the passages where they were setting this up so that that they didn't die, so that they weren't killed, that they had to, put on this charade, the unbeliever then went on to say, well, then that would mean that God condones lying. And so it was a difficult conversation. But what would you say to somebody that, would one want to twist that then to say that, well, okay, if he doesn't condone incest, he condones the lying here?
Well, I know that it was a tradition that Sarai was his stepsister by marriage through his father's second wife. That's where the tradition comes from. Is that actual scripture? I don't know. But I do know that even if it was I doubt it was his true sister, but even if it was, as far as what he's telling, he's definitely shading this because he's afraid. So an angel did not show up to Abraham and say, you should do this with Pharaoh. This is Abraham's decision. So for the unbeliever who's trying to find a way to discredit the scriptures, they forget the Bible's not all, this is why context matters, right? This is Abraham making this choice. This is not Yahweh telling Abraham to make this choice, right? So this is a frail, weak, fearful individual. Yeah, he shows great moments of courage, but he's also human, right? He has his own moments of lack, right? He gets caught lacking in his fear in this moment where he's thinking they're just going to kill me and I can't stop them because we need food, so we got to go down here. I think this is fascinating because of the parallel that we see once we get later in Genesis to the story of Shechem with Simeon and Levi and Jacob and how, if you look into Jubilees, it says that the men of Shechem did this on a regular occasion. Like this was kind of well known in the area that they would take a man's wife and kill the husband. And so this sphere is validated in Jubilees with the behavior of other people in the region, and he came from the Canaanites, and that's the region of people that they're dealing with Shechem later on with Jacob and his sons. So it's interesting to me that's that backstory motivation to why he would think I need to do this. The Egyptians are going to act the same way the Canaanites have been acting, and you're so beautiful, sweetie, that they're just going to kill me and take you. But how interesting that Pharaoh actually acts righteously in this account,
Yeah. The same kind of situation or similar situation happens again later on in like chapter 26.
Happens twice with Abraham, once with Isaac, and
there it is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
Common theme. Yes, sir.
So but as a result of this fear-based miscommunication, Pharaoh shows that he's willing to serve Yahweh or at least respect Yahweh, and Abraham and Sarah kind of make out as a result of this with a whole bunch of new possessions. So that's interesting.